How's it going, y'all? Valkyrion here. If you've been following along in this series, you now know the Statue of Liberty, how the weight of the tip of the saber works in order to guide this thing around as you're doing spins, and you're not using your muscles, you're just allowing the weight to do its own thing, and you're guiding it around. So you know that, you know the forward spin, you know the backward spin, and you're comfortable doing it on either side, your dominant and your non-dominant side, at good speed, and chaining them together. In this video, I just wanted to demonstrate and show how just knowing those two things, you can do a lot of cool stuff. And if you just focus on those two things, get them really, really good, and start changing the angles of how you do it and where it goes, you can do some really interesting, cool stuff without having to get too complicated in anything else. So, I'm gonna do some forward spinning, and I'm gonna change the angle of how I'm standing, just to demonstrate how it looks and how you can chain forward spins together to look really interesting without having to try too hard. So, you've got your regular forward spin, you got a forward spin behind you, forward spin in front of you. You can do a forward spin above your head. The ones above your head are a little harder because you're not able to use as much of the weight, but you still can, because once you give it that initial swing, the weight's going to want to travel in its own direction, and all you're doing is guiding it, keeping the momentum up a little bit with some strength, but not very much, and making sure you don't hit yourself in the head, right? So once you start it, I'm just letting you guide. So again, regular, in front of you, behind you, over your head. Now if you put all those together, and I'm just going to do on my dominant side, I'm not going to go to my non-dominant side. You put them together and change angles, and you'll have a bunch of different cool effects. And just moving your body. And that's just the forward spin on the dominant side. You start putting it onto your non-dominant side and doing it in different spots. So here's your non-dominant. Here's your non-dominant on, like to the side, right? You can do it behind you a little bit, depending on how you're spinning. Use that to turn it around. So watch that again. That's a cool way to spin and do a 180. You can do those above your head as well, just depending on what direction you want to do. And now that you're doing all forward spins, dominant, non-dominant, changing your angle, you can do a lot of really cool stuff. And there's a backward spin in there to kind of finish it off. Most of those are forward spins with some back spins. Now you start getting really interesting when you start putting your back spins in, changing angles and combining those with your forward spins. So, forward spin, backward spin, forward spin in front of you, backward spin in front of you, forward spin behind you, backward spin behind you, but it won't go all the way around because you're going to hit your own arm. But when you backward spin behind you, you can turn it into another backward spin, and that is the Obi-Ani, which we'll talk about in another video. But that's how all these components come together. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of a forward-backward thing. I'll throw a couple Obi-Anis in there, but just with these couple of tricks, minus the Obi-Ani, which we haven't talked about yet. But just forward and backward spins, changing the angle, you can do some really interesting stuff. Oops, turn it up. And already you look cool. You just throw some footwork in there and you start looking really, really cool. So at this point, you should be able to do forward and backward spins, kind of all over the place at all different angles. And when you put them together, you can do some really, really, really cool effects. Check out the next video for the Obi-Ani, where we tie all this together and start doing some really cool choreography. Cheers.